I don't even know. I don't even know what to talk about, I'll be honest. Oh, it's painful some days. Some days you just don't feel it. Seems like more those days than not. I am gonna be honest, it's, I woke up, fell out of bed, and I just don't feel exactly like doing anything. I don't know how to explain it. Some days it's just like I had to go run down and pay a bill, right? And it's like almost 8 in the morning right now. And as I was driving back, knowing it's my day off, I don't know, there was just this feeling of like, I just don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just getting tired of it, man. Just tired of the everyday bullshit. And I don't know. What up? What up once again? We have rounded out to day 40. Cool. Holy shit, man. In retrospect, holy shit. Fucking A, dude. Fucking A's have been just, something else. We got this to read, though. That's kind of fun. Esoteric, weird shit. Gnostic, if you will. Yeah, we just kind of are at this point now, like in the major story. Oh, man, my hair. Every day it's a different thing happening. We're at a different point in the story. I'm coming up to the end of book 2. I'm getting really close. Like I'm inching towards it. I always think like, okay, we're right before the big scene, and then something happens. I'm like, oh well, I guess this does need to happen. And then all of a sudden, well, it's kind of going on. But let me show you what it looks like so far. I took the liberty of dividing up everyone's viewpoint. Like every person's like get their own chapters. Depends on who we're talking about. Cypherus, Anna, Aya, Nahum. This is where we are. This is 40 days of writing, and on average, at the most, 2 hours. So I don't really write a whole lot. I don't write for very long. I think my average time is 1:40. This whole time I'm like, oh yeah, 4 hours of writing. Like, no. No, I never check the clock, and then I did it the past few times and realized you only ever write for like 40 minutes, up to an hour. So that's not bad. 40 days of writing right there. And we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of this. And then from that point, we will go forward and really have to start thinking about things. But I threw a lot of stuff out there to my one, Jacob, my helper, co-writer. I don't know. He hasn't really written the story, so just world builder, helper. And I'm just throwing stuff out there because it's coming up to the point in the books where it's like, okay, like shit's really starting to hit the fan in the political sphere. World politics is kind of taking a hit. Things are about to go pretty crazy. So we got to start thinking about that because in book 3, that shit's going to start playing a bigger role, What we're doing is we start with a character and then the world's starting to grow and his world is starting to grow. So his understanding and knowledge of things is going to get bigger, and so from that point, knowledge of the outside world, right? You're kind of following the spectrum of like what you know, and the more you know, the less you know. So that's kind of in the works right now. I have some crazy fucking cool ideas of weird fucking shit, esoteric knowledge, and just crazy, crazy stuff. And it's going to be pretty exciting when we actually get to that point. It's always a mama that's coming around when we are doing this, or disrupting it in some way, shape, or form. Right, mama? Anyway, it's around noontime, and we haven't even started our day yet. We took a morning break. But here we are once again. Gonna hit you right in the face with some weird stuff. So this book's an encyclopedia of esoteric fucking shit. from Kabbalism, Tarot, cryptology, alchemy, pyramids, zodiac, Pythagorean philosophy, masonry, gemology, Shakespeare, Thoth Hermes, Hermetic legends, mystic Christianity, a bunch of crazy, crazy stuff in here, right? Sometimes people get afraid of things like this. But anyway, I'm looking into this more because I'm trying to find the source of what fucking mankind has been doing for a long time. We always branch from points. My thinking is I'm trying to discover the evolution of thought. And when you look at certain things in, Greek philosophy, you'll start to see that the birth of an idea was there, and then they took it, like Hermetics, or Pythagorean, or fucking Platonic Platonists, like Neoplatonists or whatever the fuck. Ideas were hatched and grown, and from that point they grew, and then that's how everything seems to go. Well, if I can find it through philosophy, I can also look through it through religion. Because the whole point of it is, my characters are going down this wormhole as well. Because if you're going to talk about ancient gods, you're going to talk about, like, you have this made-up little world right here. And there's gods in this made-up place. I can't just say there's gods and they're all-knowing. I have to know how they got there, why they got there, what was the history from their point of view as opposed to the point of view of mankind. What's the truth, and how are they actually gods? That's the whole fucking point. So in doing that, I kind of had to unravel a lot of stuff that mankind's been going through, like in the real world. Like, what's the way we understand history, and how that works in tandem with, like, the use of history. What about the idea of money? What about certain nations, how they have a hold on the world? So, like, I've been recently diving into the Venetian Republic. I talked about that in the last video. I'm trying to see how one country, one nation, one group of people have this strange political sway in the world. Before that, the Phoenicians. And then you go later on, the East India Company and all this. What do they have to do with everything, and how was that born, and exactly how does that work? Not only that, but if you have religion, like I'm studying in my book, well, I can't just say, like, yep, they had a fucking gods, and then they created a temple, and they worshiped them, and that's that. And here's the tenets. Like, no, there's got to be divergent thoughts on what one god is. So we would work on that stuff, like, okay, if this culture believes this about the Forgotten King, well, what does this culture believe about them? How does that differ? What are the denominations of king worship? And as opposed to, like, in my book, the Anakume and their worship of the Titans. Like, how does that differ? How do they work in conjunction with each other if they were to live in a society where Anaku and mankind live together? Well, it would probably be kind of the same as, like, how pagans and Christianity absorbed a lot of pagan stuff to have this one religion. But the most important part is, what's the point of Christianity? What's the point of the Jews and the fucking Muslims? Like, everyone thinks their God's the God, and everything about it is correct. And it's like, well, okay, but, like, man wrote this. I'm not saying God didn't tell you this, but man wrote it. So I have to take that into account. And not only that, it's like you have to take into account, well, if you look at real religion, like, look how many bad popes there were. Look how many the evil shit they got up to. Is that just a case of the religion from the start was something sinister and it's meant to do certain sinister things, or was it infiltrated by evil? Which one was it? Like, if you have Christianity as a whole and you have the Catholic Church and you have, like, the popes and all this junk, was this religion made as something evil? Quietly, to trick people and to get them to thinking and believing certain things that are supposed to be thought and believed? Or, no, it's not that. It was perfect and great, but evil entered it and it corrupted it. Well, I have to weigh this out, because not only is it something that I ponder in real life, which is why I have a hard time adapting myself to religion, but I have to take what I think and put it in my book. I have to say, like, yeah, like, maybe Eris stumbles upon fucking shit about his religion or whatever he was supposed to believe that he's kind of confused about. I mean, for fuck's sake, he's like in book 2 comes face to face with his God, and his God gives him a fucking mission. You're not just going to be like, well, hold on, like, the church teaches us that you would do this and that. Like, no. Everything's thrown out the fucking window. I mean, what do you think a fucking prophet thought when he was approached by a god? He's not like, well, that's not what this guy said. Moses didn't say this. Like, no, he followed the instructions. And so, and that would change the faith in some sense, really depending on what culture you're talking about. We're fucking faith at this point. And then I just think about the philosophy. You take that in conjunction. The philosophy is understanding itself. It's the science of the sciences, right? It's the fucking idea of understanding things on a certain level. Well, I'm searching for that myself because I'm always met with shit that I don't get. And if I'm trying to find purpose, I realize I'm a skeptic. I'm someone that's just like, I don't understand any of this. And how can you prove anything? And so I take that skepticism, and with Jacob, but he's more in the know of some things. And like, well, I gotta, whatever he's channeling through, I have to kind of fucking take it and say like, yeah, but what about this? What about that? Like, I gotta break it apart. Because the reality of the situation is I want the character to be in a world that's full of fucking people that are absolutely confused, because there's so much confliction. There's so many groups of people fighting against each other. So many groups of people that have one concept. For instance, there is a group of people in the world that I'm making that say, yeah, the guy that created us, we call him Oapake. That is his name. He made mankind. He was given divine truth from a titan named Dove. And he freed people from another realm to live alongside mankind. And mankind, which was covered in darkness, exited that point, went across the great desert, had an odyssey of 30 years, found the Holy Land, and there they established the realm of mankind next to the people from the other realm. Under Oapake, his belief system and his prophets are the ones that lead our country. And from that point, we'll always live, right? Okay, well, there's another group of people that probably don't agree with that. They're like, you claim to be the people of Oapake? First of all, that's not his name. His name is Dulag. Anyway, he has nothing to do with you guys. In fact, you guys are corrupted. What you're doing is following an evil entity. And then there's this group of people that say like, okay, yeah, that's great and all, but we worship the moon because the moon is where the wife of Oapake was banished to, according to the legends of the Titans during the Great War that happened long ago. So what they're doing is something totally different. They don't necessarily think Oapake is a different being, but I think they probably think, like folks in the south of the, Ansar probably believe that maybe those in the Drana are full of themselves. They're the Greeks of the world. Like, I don't know, man. Those guys are full of themselves. They're too busy licking their own assholes before they could fucking understand what's going on in the outside world. I have to take that stuff because in reality, there is those thoughts that have always been. I mean, that's what Christian denominations fucking are. Little nitpicky things. Like, well, I don't know if it's just because you said it this way. Like, we don't like that you have a pope, so we're going to go over here now. Like, dumb fucking shit. And it's just, for me, it's all just, I mean, I'll be honest, it's all bullshit. It really is. It's just stupid. It's just like, well, I don't agree with everything you said. I agree with 95% of it, but that last 5% is enough to make me walk away. And I'm like, okay, so ego. That's what it's all about. Everyone's got some fucking ego because they know, right? They know. Well, that means if I have my character Eris run into people, they always fucking know. Like, no, I know what this is. This is that. This is this. And that's that. And you need to believe all this fucking shit that I was taught. Because I know it's right. And Eris is just going to be the character that's just like hearing everyone's made up shit. And he's got to discern like, okay, this is ridiculous. Everyone's got their own bullshit that they're clinging to. Everyone's got their own agenda. There are folk in the world that want to see, in my book, Oapake destroyed. And that would be the Inaku. Because Oapake to them is the bastion of evil. He is the one that's causing the Inaku people to diminish, to fall away. Think of it like this. A group of elves lived in the world and they had these beautiful mighty gods. And then these dark evil fucking gods came and fought their gods. Everyone disappeared. And now you, as an elf, are slowly vanishing from the world. You're going to blame those fucking gods, are you not? So that's Oapake and his followers. So to an Anaku, they're like, yeah, fuck those guys. Like, they're the problem with the world. And then you find out that those evil gods made mankind. You're going to be like, well, those things are evil too. And they're here to replace us. In fact, we believe they're stealing our souls. So there's a fight between these two groups of people, never getting along. In fact, empires formed, empires of thought, which is where I'm working on the idea of the egregore. What is an egregore? I'll give you the actual definition of it. Egregore is a concept in Western esotericism of a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a distinct group of individuals. First of all, I have so much I can do with that. Have thought ideas, and inside those concepts that we agree to, you and I, some sort of entity will live inside of that. So there's like a conspiracy theory that maybe money is an egregore. That perhaps money, the way that it acts upon people, how it makes us all greedy instantly, how like, you know, you're never going to turn it down, and it does a lot of weird shit in the world, conflicts, people are always coveting it and shit. They think that, well, maybe there's an entity that lives inside of it. The whole concept. And so I thought, man, that is so cool. I can adapt that to the way the Anaku work. I can adapt that to the way Beothuk and his fucking evil entities work. I can even take that and put it inside a group of people that already have this weird mental ability to manipulate others. It's this magical power they're imbued with. How can we use that strange concept in the book? How can we use that for good and for evil? So when I think of the Anakume people, and I think of these elves, these Native Americans, these Aboriginal people that were oppressed and destroyed by this colonizing, you know, all that shit. How can I give them this voice and say, well, what would you do? If you felt like your culture was crumbling all around you based on these other people that are not you, they came in and they destroyed everything and they're taking all from you. And your back's against the wall, you lost most of your culture, a lot of your people are in hiding, the world in your eyes is falling apart. What do you do when you feel that way? And some sort of entity, some sort of being that you could perceive as a god communes to you and tells you that it can get you out of this as long as you follow it. Well, amongst the high society, they're all in. What else? What other choice do we have? And so you see the thought empire of the Anakume form. When my character will stumble upon this stuff, it's kind of up to him to decide, because everyone's going to give him their point of view. Well, this is what we think it all is. This is what we think this is. Oapek's evil. Mankind's stealing from us. We're the chosen real people of the world, and the world was made for us only. You guys are an afterthought. And then Eris is like, fuck. I mean, are they wrong? I don't know. Then he meets another group of people who has a different opinion about it. A group of people that find themselves being the bastions of hope for mankind. The people that were long ago chosen by Oapek and his chosen son. And we are the ones, we came here because he freed us. Oapek did. Oapek was brought to this world to stop the evil that was growing because of the Titans. The Titans never loved the Anakume. The Titans were using the Anakume. And Oapek put a stop to that. And it's like, well, there's another side. Is he wrong? I don't know. He's right too. Well, how can both be right? Then what is right? And I want to get past the bullshit of choosing a side and taking a stance, because I think that's fucking stupid. To sit there and like, yeah, I know like there's a lot of this stuff out here full of everyone's opinions and all that stuff. I just like this one the most because it makes the most sense. And you've got to just choose. No, you don't. And that's the point of Eris. It's like, the only way to stop all of this is to destroy all of this. And that's the kind of underlying principle, the philosophy, in which I explore the most. It's like, okay, everyone wants to bitch and fight about their little fucking opinions and sides and who owns what and who should have what and whose history is real, whose is fake, what color matters the most of your skin tone, and all these philosophies, which one's the most right, which is the most correct government type, all that shit. And you just look at it and say, okay, what if I just take all that away from you? Then you have nothing to fight about because it's fucking stupid. There is that darker side of it. And I'm sure in the coming years, Eris is going to like contemplate that. Well, I'm chosen by God. I'm chosen by Oapeg. What if I destroy it all? Then they have nothing to bitch about. But there's that other side of him. The one that understands that all happens as it should. And all things, fragmented and separate, form the ideas that can grow in multitudes, in which the unsolicited, unending, unabound thought must grow because there's many different kinds of connections that come. Your evil can save another in the right way at the right time. So he kind of contemplates these ideas and says, like, there's so much. Why, at the end of the day, when he's sat down and God's looking at him, like, okay, what do you do? It's like I keep saying in, you know, the mantra of some of these videos. Why? Why am I the one to make a decision here? Why is it that I have to decide the fate of so many different people? Why is my opinion the most important to a God? Is it merely because he chose me? Is it merely because I am a animus? I am an active vessel to which the God uses, and through me he drives the vehicle into this world? Is that the only reason why I'm the one? But what about my brain? What about my consciousness, my soul? Why were those chosen? Why are they so conflicted? And I really think that with Eris, he is to make the judgment. The gods decided, the Titans and the Aeon, in constant conflict in another realm, battling it out indefinitely, stalemate, can't decide who the winner is. So they agree. If one being can make the choice of the world, let it be so, and let that be done with. This one being who was so separate from it, who was so different from it, who was so... You look at Eris, it's like looking at me, someone who's just like, he's just some fucking idiot sitting in his office, doesn't know what's going on in the world, isolationist, skeptic, weird fucking shit. This guy's just he's lost the plot. Written off. But he's the one that's going to decide the fate of the world. Now, it's not necessarily something I look at myself so much in a way of the outside world, but I kind of use the book as like, what will be my final statement about how I feel about this world? What will that be? Will I say fuck it and blow my brains out and just give up? Will I get angry about some stupid shit and get to activism and do all those things that don't matter? Will I try to make changes and be like a tyrannical thought and try to force people into my concepts of what they need to believe? Will I wither away and just kind of give up on life and become a loser and sit quietly in the corner and wait to die? Or will I embrace the world and embrace all thoughts and all ideas and just say, it is what it is, and you can't make changes greater than yourself? I don't know. I don't really know what choice I will make as the writer. And that's part of the thrill of going along with Eris, because he's the one who has to make these changes. He's the one that has to go about and find himself. And through that, when he's presented to the God again, and the God says, what have you decided? When he makes his decision, it will be the same time that I, as the writer, make my decision. Hopefully that made sense to somebody out there. I'm sure 95% of the people tuned out of this about, 15 minutes ago, as we always say. You have to weed out the weak. And it's okay if people tune out of this early on. We don't want that. You don't want those kind of people. I want a free thinker to watch this, to think about that, you know? Think about it in your own life. It's okay to have these thoughts, you know? It's okay to question things around you on a deep level. It's okay to make the most of every thought that you have. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's hard because I get it. Reflecting, looking inward, that's terrifying because you have to constantly come up with answers. And sometimes you just don't fucking wanna. I don't wanna come up with it. I don't know. I just want to live my life and be at peace. And there's nothing wrong with making that choice. It's just you can choose to search for self. And sometimes searching for self, you can truly begin. It always starts in here with your opinions. But the minute you start to quiet that stupid fucking voice telling you what you believe is right and start to look at the world and see what they think, sometimes in that you'll come back home and realize, man, that's all fucked up. I don't want to be a part of any of it. From that point, you do with it what you will, for good or for bad. That could lead you down a road of heartbreak and suicide. Or it could lead you down a road of enlightenment and being detached from the materialistic world. That's kind of up to you, you know? You got to kind of figure that out for yourself. But we could all do it together in our own way. And for me, I'm doing it with a book. Hopefully, a book that somebody in the world will want to read it. But we'll see.